be a guinea pig.
Right. I don't want your kid to be in that situation.
That's very frustrating. It affected me several times where I got into 4.6, 3.6, and there's a kid sitting next to me where they hadn't been paying attention in class at all, and they got a 2.6, and they're reassessing. I never understood that, and that really was the most frustrating thing about this assessment for learning. And again, that will be going by the wayside as hopefully in all the classes next year. So that was one of the biggest flaws that I found with it, but hoping that it's sort of that.
Thank you very much for coming, Kayla, and sharing your comments. We appreciate you being here. I'm going to keep us moving along. I want to make one point out. We've talked a lot about the different assessments. So far we've talked about formative and benchmark. We still have these things called final exams. We still have standardized tests, the ACT, the SAT, the WKCE. Those are all what are termed summative assessments. And those assessments, there isn't an opportunity for a retake. And those are really meant to be that final gauge of where the student's at. And that's where we see the most test anxiety, unfortunately. And we'll see kids going through classes to try and help them prepare for that, cope with that, and get through that the best. But I want to make sure I draw that distinction as we're talking about assessments. There is that third version that's really that, it's that moment in time. What do you know right now? Okay? So here's the difference between formative and benchmarks. We've talked about it, but I just put it up here in plain language form for you. Formative are used during the learning. They're used as a diagnostic tool to assist students. Their primary purpose is to help students know where they're at and where they need to go. Benchmark assessments are used at the conclusion of learning. They're used to measure the student's performance on the targets. And again, those are the benchmarks are the ones where the grade comes into play. That's the one where if you came in and you had a bad day and you said, you know what, I think I really do know this, Mr. Hay, I know this. Can I just come in and tell you? That's where we're talking about reassessment. And that reassessment may be a simple 2 minutes, explain it to me and we're done, let's move on. Or it may be more in depth because we've got to go back and do some remediation. We've got to do some work to get to that. But that's what that's about. This question I get a lot. What research supports this change? There's all kinds of it, and you don't have to worry about trying to write all these down. I'm going to get this on our website tonight yet, so that if you want any of these slides, you've got them. If you want to be able to go to any of these authors, you're able to do that. But this is research that's happened for some time now. It's at least 2 decades worth of research about assessment and about its impact to motivate learning, its impact to increase student achievement. And those are really what we're talking about doing here. So this is one slide, there's another slide, there's another slide, and there's far more out there. Again, I will post this tonight. You don't need to worry about writing it down. You'll be able to access this from the high school website. Another question, have you piloted this already? You heard a little bit about it from Kayla. By the way, Kayla's a little bit modest. For those of you who want to know, she got into a great university. She's also in the top 10 in the class, not just top 10%, the top 10 in this class. Not that that was reported, because we didn't report rank. But what I'm telling you is without that rank, she did just fine, and so did all of our other students that graduated this year. We'll talk a little bit about them in a moment. So we piloted this. Beginning in 2007, we piloted this framework in 4 different departments. It started in Spanish, it moved to music and art, and then we've also done this in chemistry, and to a more limited version in one of our English classes. Metrics that we've used to monitor this pilot. We're looking for increased achievement, and we're looking for improved alignment between the teachers. Those are the objectives that we set out to accomplish. We want to, in everything that we do, increase student achievement, and we were looking here to improve the alignment because we know the frustration of the luck of the draw teacher that you get, okay? Next question, how did students in the pilot perform? There's one of the handouts over here goes through at least the Spanish department who's been doing this the longest, and you've got some data. I put one of them into a chart format that makes it a little bit easier for you to see this longitudinally. So you've got cohort 1 of students, and you can see their increase in achievement. That's the first 3 columns. Cohort 2, their increase, and cohort 3. There were some variations along the way, but for the most part, we saw an increase in achievement and an increase in alignment. And that alignment we're measuring through the standard deviation of all of the grades in that class. We want to see the standard deviation shrink, and we want to see the standard deviation from teacher to teacher be pretty much the same. And you'll notice that in our old data, it wasn't that way. You've got that in front of you, okay? What is reassessment all about? We've gone through this now. Mastery, we're looking to raise the rigor of education by eliminating point accumulation and instead demanding that students master the learning targets. It's another question I get again. What about class rank? Beginning in 2009, we stopped reporting class rank on transcripts to colleges and universities. Said that, rank was again designed for those sorting structures, limited educational opportunities for students, and if you read a little bit in the On Wisconsin magazine, you'll learn more about that. But it's still available for those who need it. We still have it in the computer. If George Bonadur came to us and said, I need you to put on a letter that I'm ranked #1 because I need it for a scholarship application, we can do that. But what we know is, because this is a high-achieving school, for the vast majority of our students, reporting their rank knocked them out of college admissions from the beginning. It would put them on an automatic wait list, because students who scored in the 30th percentile here at Kettle Moraine would score in the 10th percentile at many, many, many other schools in our state. This is a high-achieving school, and because of that, we put students at a disadvantage when we continue to rank them and try to create that bell curve. So we followed suit of Brookfield, of Whitefish Bay, of Nicolay, and Arrowhead is about to follow our suit now in eliminating rank so that we can open up more opportunities for all of our students. Without rank, how will you determine the valedictorian? It's another big question. Currently, again, remember, we have rank in the computer. Okay, so we're going to go through a selection process over the next year. We're going to go through a process to figure out how will we select the valedictorian. The other schools who've already eliminated rank have done this, and so there's some models that we're going to be able to look at. We can take some things we like, we'll leave some other things we don't like. We may create some new things. We're going to ask for parents to be involved in that, for students to be involved in that, and for teachers to be involved in that. We'll be putting an all-call out in fall, so if that's a topic you're interested in, we want your engagement. Until then, we'll continue to be calculated the same way that we have calculated it. So it will continue to be the person who in the back-end computer ranks #1 and ranks #2. Now, we'd like to have that ready for a year from now, but if it's not, we'll continue doing what we're doing. We don't want to make a misstep along the way here. What do top universities look for in the admissions process? Kayla hinted at some of this. One of the documents that was at the door today is this really dark-looking thing. It's from On Wisconsin. It's published by the UW-Madison Alumni Association. But it's a whole document called Getting In, the Not-So-Secret Admissions Process. And it's really a fantastic report that I encourage you to read, especially those of you getting close to that junior, senior year. But here's what it boils down to, and this is straight out of the document. They're looking for #1, how competitive is your high school? Yes, the high school that you come from matters, and it matters a lot, okay? We're lucky that Kettle Moraine, you know, the latest ranking we got from Newsweek, we're ranked in the top 6% in the nation of public high schools nationwide. There are 27,000 high schools in the nation. We are in the top 6%. That's the top 1,500 schools nationwide. That's just one metric. They're also going to look at what's our performance on our SAT scores or HCT scores, our composite or average, all of those pieces. We consistently perform high.